Su Jiao traveled to a parallel world and became a talent artist with a good singing voice. In the era of rampant sales, she followed the company's guidelines to make miserable sales. However, Su Jiao, who had a disastrous first time, couldn't hold back any longer. Halfway through the sale, he was slapped out of the courtyard with his embarrassed toes and ended up laughing. She looked timidly at the four black-faced mentors and said, "I'm sorry, I'm not very skilled at selling tragedies for the first time," and couldn't help but laugh. For teachers, why don't I say it again? Everyone thinks that Su Jiao messed up and needs to get out of this stage when she first appears. However, what was unexpected was that the audience burst into laughter after she sold the hilarious scene. It was unanimously believed that she was criticizing the poor selling environment of the talent show, and everyone applauded her. When Su Jiao started singing, an original song, "In My Song," ignited the audience. The music of parallel worlds shines brightly in this world. Keywords of the novel. Tianho. Let you go on stage and sell miserably, you go on stage with no pop-ups, Tianho. Let you go on stage and sell miserably, you go on stage with a laugh. Download the complete set of TXT. Tianho. Let you go on stage and sell miserably, you go on stage with a laugh. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Selling a Grim Laughter Field. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Selling a Grim Laughter Field. Good voice backstage, completely silent. Su Jiao stared at the contestants on stage, secretly cheering herself on. When I was in the dressing room, the agent said she had already said hello, and as long as she followed the necessary procedures, there was basically no problem. This is the company's last chance for her. If she messes up again. As soon as she thought about the consequences, Su Jiao became even more nervous, her heart pounding a bit faster. I didn't even hear the host call her name the first time, but unfortunately the host called her again. Isn't it too happy to see the four mentors? You can't even hear me call you, can you? Let's take a break and introduce ourselves first. The host stood on the side, playing around. Hello teachers, Su Jiao bowed and continued, my name is Su Jiao. I am 19 years old and from QQHE. It's done, what are we going to say next? The agent said to talk about hometown first and then guide. To guide the audience's emotions. Seeing her stop halfway, the others on the field were also confused. The direction of the mentor, the female mentor who had already been greeted by the company, immediately said, little girl, don't be nervous. Tell me why you came to the stage of good voice. Su Jiao's tense mood slightly eased, and she began to recite the poor selling notebook given by her agent. Because of my love for music, my biggest dream when I was a child was to have a professional teacher to teach like other children. However, my family was not well off, and I worked 3 jobs a day to save money to pay for tuition. Unfortunately, it was still far from enough to cover the cost of studying music. But at that time, I met a good teacher who knew I loved music, so sometimes when I went outside their classroom to steal lessons, he would turn a blind eye and pretend not to know. Even after so many years, I never forgot about him. When she was in the dressing room, the agent rehearsed for her and asked her to flirt. The tone must be sincere, with tears in your eyes and a hint of bitterness on your face. She was originally innocent in appearance, and this little expression immediately made her look pitiful and delicate. On the other hand, the expressions of the mentors had already been deeply moved. The older sister, whether she had strong empathy or excellent acting skills, had tears in her eyes. The host tightly pursed his lips, as if giving Su Jiao a silent hug. At this moment, the anchor didn't dare to show the camera to the audience below, because they all had a mocking expression on their faces, as if saying, "Can we switch to a new routine? Is this kind of assembly line's tragic plot wholesale unified?" Actually, Su Jiao also has this feeling. When she said these words, her toes were all scratching the ground, almost buttoning up a set of quadrangles. Suddenly, the director's camera switched to the face of a little sister below the stage. The little sister's eyes were red, and she was wiping the uncontrollable tears with a tissue, crying so deeply that it was truly touching. Jiao met her at the company. She was hired by her agent for a fee of 200 yuan per day. Jiao stopped moving again, and the agent was extremely anxious behind the stage, even giving her 2 gestures to continue. Jiao finally realized that her tragic confession had not yet ended. I never thought of giving up on my dreams, in order to pursue them. No, this line can't be memorized anymore. It's too fake. To be a nanny for someone's dream. Did you even sweep the toilet for someone? Just because the boss hired a music teacher for his child. Jiao tried her best to hold back, keeping her head down at the corner of her mouth, afraid of laughing out loud and afraid of the camera scanning her big red face. Her voice became intermittent and faintly visible. There's something wrong with the sound. The host and mentors quickly exchanged a glance, and their faces changed. The audience below had bright eyes and had already felt something was wrong. Poochie. Jiao sure couldn't help but laugh out loud, but the laughter became uncontrollable. In the end, the laughter grew louder and couldn't stop. All of a sudden, everyone on site was confused. What is the situation? The entire studio, except for Jiao standing on stage laughing, everyone else looked at each other. Everyone looked confused. What's the situation? Why do we just laugh when we talk? It's not like there's something wrong with the brain. The audience below is also whispering. What is this person doing? New script. Not like mental illness, right? At this moment, the agent standing backstage had already eyes burning with anger, with a frosty face and a motionless body staring fixedly at Jiao. Fingering at her, silently shouting angrily, "What the hell are you doing?" The mentors on stage glanced at each other and felt that there was going to be a live broadcast accident. Fortunately, the host reacted quickly and said, "Jiao, did you suddenly think of any happy things in life?" The host also specifically patted her on the shoulder, indicating that she should stop halfway during the live broadcast. Jiao stopped laughing, and at the same time, she knew she was done for. Her behavior just now is called a broadcasting accident. But she really didn't mean it. Jiao timidly glanced around and then at a few mentors, awkwardly saying, "I'm sorry, I'm not very skilled at selling tragedies for the first time, and I can't help but laugh. For teachers, why don't you? Why don't I say it again?" As soon as these words were spoken, the whole room fell silent for 3 seconds, and then everyone on site burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, this sister is too practical. Although I know they are all scripts, it's the first time I've heard the parties reveal themselves. Ha ha ha, this sister actually needs to repeat it again. After that, this sister probably won't have a chance. She's openly provoking the program team. You see, the hosts and mentors' faces are almost turned black. TSK, I really like her personality. I guess the company terminated the contract with her overnight. At this moment, Jiao, standing in the center of the stage, wanted to cry without tears. She knows how foolish her behavior was just now. Not to mention the production team, the agency is probably trying to terminate her contract at this time. How could I be so foolish? Give me a piece of tofu and I'll kill it. Jiao was in a low mood and sadly placed the microphone on the nearby table, ready to go back to the backstage to suffer death. At such times, how dare the host let her go? As soon as she leaves, her good voice will become a joke. Taking 3 steps and 2 steps forward, he grabbed Jiao and said, "Are you on stage just to make us happy? The song hasn't been sung yet. The host has a flexible mind and can handle awkward situations for you." After he finished speaking, the audience also agreed with his joke. Yes, sing the song before leaving. After finally encountering such a silly and cute player, everyone became interested. Several mentors breathed a sigh of relief as soon as they saw the enthusiasm of the audience being lifted. As long as the audience was not angry, the program team could say that this was a pre-agreed program effect, used to satirize the recurring incidents of contestants selling tragedies in recent years. Even if the audience is not angry and opposed now, the mentor is somewhat impatient when facing such players. You can't throw fire on the contestant, you can only settle accounts with her agent, the mental illness that came from there. The agent has 800 regrets at this time. The reason I brought Jiao at that time was because she was beautiful, honest, and had a good voice. I thought she was a money tree. Who knew she was not honest at all, but stupid? If you don't lose money now, even if heaven hurts her. On stage, Jiao didn't know what her agent was thinking. She turned to her agent and timidly said, "Sister, can I sing?" The agent rolled his eyes, leaving only 2 white eyes for her. "Sister, what are you looking at me for? What are you asking me for? Are you trying to kill me?" Jiao couldn't guess the agent's thoughts. What does that mean? Should I sing or not? Jiao, please start your performance. The mentor didn't give her a chance to get tangled up. I bring you an original work today, and in my singing, I hope everyone likes it." Jiao stuttered as she was afraid of saying the wrong thing again. The host and production team didn't want any more accidents, so they quickly gestured to the sound engineer. "Quickly finish singing and get lost." As the accompaniment sounded, Jiao raised the microphone. "No defense at all, there's no hint of concern either, you just appeared in my world like this, bringing me surprises is beyond my control, but you're just like this again, quietly disappearing before I knew it." Jiao on stage was very panicked, but once she immersed herself in her singing, she regained her confidence. She can sing until she forgets herself, and even the people on site are empty in her eyes. This song brings herself from the lyrics to the meaning in the song. The unique hoarse voice is transmitted through the microphone to the ears of everyone on site. And at this moment, she didn't know that this song would be a turning point in her fate. "You exist deep in my mind, in my dreams, in my heart, in my songs. You exist deep in my mind, in my dreams, in my heart, in my singing." Jiao only sang a short section, but everyone on site was attracted by her. "I didn't expect this little girl to sing really well." Quickly, a few minutes later, I finished singing my song and received waves of applause from the audience. Jiao's singing surprised everyone. This original song of hers has a beautiful melody. In addition to being surprised by Jiao's singing level, the 4 mentors also analyzed something more professional. This song was completed in one go from lyrics to composition. Even if they are professional, they have to say that this silly and cute girl has something. At this point, several teachers had already forgotten to curse her as a mental illness. Pop pop pop. The mentors turned around one after another. The female supervisor who greeted the company first said, "Did you write the lyrics and composition yourself?" Jiao was a bit surprised to see all 4 mentors turn around. "Has this been approved?" Her heart couldn't help but beat a little faster. She nodded shyly, clutching the microphone. At this moment, the sister's voice also softened. "Don't be nervous, you sing very well. My team needs you like this. Jiao, come to my team, and I'll take you to the championship," interrupted Zhou, another superstar from the Winding Skies. Seeing that both sister and Zhou have started to snatch people, the other 2 mentors are also unwilling to be outdone. "Do you know that God is chasing after you to enjoy food? Don't bury your talent, come to my team, and I will make you shine on this stage. Come to my team, I can hear your voice, it's a story. If you come to my team, I think there will be a lot of topics between us." Jiao on stage was stunned, to the surprise that all 4 mentors were competing for her. She was a bit at a loss when she first encountered such a scene. She turned to the backstage for help, hoping that her agent would tell her how to choose. However, the backstage was empty, and there was no agent left. "This, what should we do?" In a moment of anxiety, she suddenly remembered that she had mentioned that sister during a company meeting a while ago. The company has some connection with that sister. I originally wanted to leave behind and let her join that sister's team. And to win the championship, the only way is to enter her group. So Jiao looked timidly at the sister and said, I choose that sister. Upon hearing this, the sister immediately ran up the stage happily and gave Jiao a warm hug. Jiao, don't worry, I will definitely let you play to your strengths. Let's work together to win this championship. At first, the older sister didn't have much confidence in Jiao and wanted to take her on a show and get her eliminated quickly. Who knew this was a treasure player? With such a player, she is not at a disadvantage. If Jiao is good, she is a mentor. If she is not good, it has nothing to do with her. I just didn't expect such a strong player, why would her agency still greet her? The sister shook her head and didn't think about what was going on. Patted Jiao's shoulder and said, go rest and prepare well for the next performance. Keep going, I'll keep an eye on you. Jiao was unaware of the small details in the female mentor's heart. After bowing to the audience and mentors, she left the stage in a daze to apologize to her agent. She went to the backstage and searched around but didn't see the agent. She then ran to the dressing room and found that there was none. At this moment, in the dressing room, some contestants who were preparing to take the stage had a somewhat exciting expression when they saw Jiao. Some pouted and looked down upon her, while others pretended to be enthusiastic and congratulated her. Some praised her for her championship appearance. Jiao had never experienced such a scene before. She didn't know what to say and could only smile back. She walked up to another girl from the same company and whispered, have you seen Sister Ling? The other person sat in the chair and glanced at Jiao through the makeup mirror, saying in a gloomy tone, your agent, why are you asking me? So many mentors have chosen you, are you so happy? It's okay, she said humbly. You also work hard. If you don't get selected this time, don't be discouraged. Come again next time. The girl's face turned green instantly upon hearing this. With a cold snort, she closed her eyes and ignored Jiao. Actually, Jiao said this from the bottom of her heart. She has heard the other person sing, not very pleasant. She was afraid that the other party would be upset if they were not selected later, so she wanted to comfort her, after all, everyone is from the same company. I don't know why, but if it's just a consolation, why is the other person angry? She could only quietly exit the dressing room with her small bag and stand in the hallway to call her agent Ling Jie. However, as soon as the bell rang, the other party hung up. After calling again, it was already blocked. That's it, it seems that the agent is really impressive. Jiao hung her head weakly, feeling a bit confused about what to do next. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Hot Search 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Hot Search 1. At the same time, Agent Zhou Lingling was on her way back to the company when she saw Jiao's phone call. Her blood pressure skyrocketed, and out of sight and out of mind, she directly called her to blacklist. Did my mind get stuck in the air back then? Why did I owe me such a thing to sign? I thought she had a simple and honest image, and selling her persona would quickly become popular. Who knew there was such a foolish person in this world? Zhou Lingling became angrier and angrier as she thought, all these days of hard work were in vain. As soon as she arrived at the company, she went to the boss's office filled with resentment. I didn't even knock on the door and broke in directly. The result? Ruined the boss's good deed. The boss and a newly promoted singer from the company are exploring the mysteries of their bodies. Sorry boss, I didn't see anything. Zhou Lingling was scared out of her wits and quickly withdrew. My mind suddenly woke up, this is the boss's office. It's done. Jiao messed up and bumped into the boss again. How could I just memorize it like this? Leaning against the wall, Zhou Lingling lamented that she was really unlucky. Zhou Lingling, get out of here. Not long after, the little singer came out, and the boss's roar also came over. Zhou Lingling walked back into the office feeling uneasy. Zhou Lingling, if you don't want to do it, get out of here. If you don't knock on the door, come in. Who's used to your bad habit? Boss Su Tao was disturbed and very unhappy. Sorry boss, I was just too anxious, so. Su Tao glared at her impatiently and said, go ahead, what's going on? Zhou Lingling breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Su Tao was not concerned about what had just happened. Roast about Su Jiao's wonderful behavior. Boss, today Su Jiao sold miserably on the stage and even laughed, which offended people in the industry, especially the Good Voice program group. Who dares to cooperate with our company after that, or change her? Su Tao gave Zhou Lingling a sidelong glance and said, replace someone. Replace who? I think it's pretty good to replace you. You were the one who valued her and picked her honestly back then, but now who's to blame? I didn't know she was so honest that she lacked heart and soul. In such occasions, people rely on her tragic background to gain sympathy, but she's so good that she can ruin herself. Industry insiders probably mock our company for blindly picking such a thing. However, Su Tao seemed not angry at all about Su Jiao's tragic laughter scene, just silently took out his phone and opened a certain blog. Zhou Lingling, are you a manager who has been working for a long time and your mind has solidified? Selling poorly is just a routine, and listening to it all the time is not very interesting. If you come across a counter routine, the effect will be unexpected. You haven't been to the internet cafe yet, let's take a look at the hot search. Su Jiao is now popular. Speaking, Su Tao handed his phone to Zhou Lingling. Zhou Lingling took her phone and immediately looked dumbfounded. I saw that the top trending topic on a certain blog is related to Su Jiao. Good Voice contestant Su Jiao sells a mischievous laughing stage. Below the link, there is not only text explaining the causes and consequences, but also a video. Of course, the video has been edited. The beginning is the scene of Su Jiao selling a tragic laugh on stage, followed by a segment of her singing. In the video, Su Jiao has a sharp contrast. When introducing herself with a microphone, her helpless appearance appears a bit silly and cute, while when singing, she appears radiant and dazzling. Zhou Lingling was shocked by this top trending topic. How long has it been since then? Looking at Su Tao beside him, whose face was flushed with Su Jiao's top spot on hot search, he murmured, boss, you're confused. Spending so much money on Su Jiao's hot search is not worth it. Su Tao glared at Zhou Lingling and said, do I look like the boss who can buy the top trending items for newcomers? Look at the comments section for yourself. Zhou Lingling silently opened the comments section. This sister has a lovely personality and sings beautifully. Do you know about her Weibo? Please push it to me. Thank you. She looks great too. Oh my god, I'm crazy. I really like her. What is the song she sings called? Listen carefully. I heard it's original. From now on, this little sister will be my new wife. I'm sorry, Ife. I have to move my heart to another love. In just one short video, with nearly 40,000 comments, almost 80% of them were praising Su Jiao. Occasionally, there are a few sour curses, but they are all scolded by fans. Opening Su Jiao's less than once in 800 years on a certain blog account, the number of fans has exceeded 50,000, the data is still rising, and private messages in the background are all exposed. Zhou Lingling opened her mouth and couldn't speak for a long time. But she understood in her heart that Su Jiaofei didn't mess it up, but instead turned towards fire. On the subway, Su Jiao didn't even know she was on the hot search list at this time. She felt a bit lost inside, unsure of what was waiting for her when she returned to the company. Being scolded should be inevitable, as for Xuetsong. I don't think so. After all, some mentors have chosen her now. But what if the company really gets angry and hides her? What will happen in the future? If you can't sing anymore, what other jobs can you find? Su Jiao leaned her head against the subway door and looked at the roaring pitch-black tunnel, feeling lost. The popularity has exceeded 100,000, and the system will be activated in a few days. The system mall has been opened, please go online and check. The popularity has exceeded 100,000, and the system will be activated in a few days. The system mall has been opened, please go online and check. Two sudden sounds startled Su Jiao, and she quickly lifted her head and looked around but couldn't find the person speaking. Where did the sound come from? The popularity has exceeded 100,000, and the system will be activated in a few days. The system mall has been opened, please go online and check. The sound is in my ears again. No, it's ringing in my mind. Su Jiao was confused. It was the first time she had encountered this kind of thing since she traveled to this world. Is it really an iron rule that a traveler must have golden fingers? Su Jiao, with anticipation and excitement, tried to engage in a conscious dialogue in her mind. Opening. Ding dong. Like the sound of a computer turning on, a screen suddenly appeared in her mind. The above displays a row of functions, including singing, dancing, acting, and more, with a wide variety of skills. Suddenly, Su Jiao widened her eyes and felt extremely incredulous. Isn't it the Tianhou system? How can you still have the ability to unlock even the skill of Gaon? This system may not be a knockoff, right? After carefully browsing all the interfaces and understanding the classification of various skills, Su Jiao curiously clicked on the dance interface. The next second, the sound of the system came to mind. Sorry, your popularity is not enough to unlock. Please continue to work hard. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Post-song space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Post-song space. Su Jiao clicked on all the functions on the interface and found that they couldn't be unlocked. The popularity value corresponding to each function is different. The system prompts that because she has a singing background, the closest feature to her is singing ability, which requires 15 popularity points. Now, Su Jiao only needs 50,000 popularity points to open the singing skills mall. What is the popularity value? Su Jiao asked. Popularity is somewhat similar to popularity, but not popularity. It is related to the number of fans of the host, the popularity of the news, the frequency of discussions, and so on, which is very complex. Of course, the number of fans is the most important reference indicator. System explanation. After listening to Su Jiao, she was completely shocked. The system just meant that popularity is linked to the number of fans. Does that mean she already has fans now? With a popularity value of 100,000, even if there are not tens of thousands, there are still several thousand followers, right? Su Jiao was so happy that she covered her mouth and chuckled. The person next to her was startled by her strange behavior, and she turned her head again. Su Jiao is a bit embarrassed. Hurry up and restrain herself. In a place that Su Jiao didn't notice, a handsome boy who looked like a college student kept secretly scrutinizing her. The boy glanced at Su Jiao and then at her phone, then couldn't help but squeeze through the crowd and come to Su Jiao, saying, "Excuse me, are you Su Jiao?" Su Jiao nodded in confusion, wondering how the boy knew his name. After seeing Su Jiao nod, the handsome boy exclaimed excitedly, "Ah, it's really you. Can I take a photo with you? I really like your personality." The show satirized the poor performance of the draft on the spot. "I really admire you." The movement inside the carriage caught the attention of other passengers. Subsequently, the voices gathered around and several people recognized Su Jiao, with both men and women requesting a group photo. Su Jiao experienced this kind of thing for the first time, and she didn't know how to refuse, nor did she want to refuse. So, starting from that handsome boy, she took photos with everyone one by one. Jiao, I looked at the Weibo and asked why you were laughing on stage. Did you get amused by that tragic line? After taking a group photo, someone asked. Jiao tightly closed her mouth and shook her head, afraid of saying the wrong thing again. Ling Jie is already very angry about this matter, she can't cause any more trouble. However, her action further proved her silly and cute personality, causing several male fans' hearts to beat faster. Even when Jiao arrived at the station and got off the subway, she was always attentive and wanted a contact information. Some fans even posted a photo of themselves and Jiao on a certain blog. I ran into Jiao on the subway. I'm so beautiful and white. I have a good personality too. She's cute and silly. Starting today, she will be my only sister. This video was quickly reposted by many people, especially male fans, who not only reposted it but also announced that Jiao was their only wife. On the way out of the subway station, Jiao opened her personal scarf. Watching the number of fans increase by hundreds every time they refresh, the whole person is scared. This should be true, right? Jiao looked at the back-end data and couldn't believe that she had just become so popular. Previously, there were only a few dozen fan accounts, but now they have reached 70,000 to 80,000. According to this increase, the number of fans will definitely exceed 100,000 after tomorrow. In a daze, Jiao returned home. Meanwhile, during this period, her popularity is about to break through 150,000 and her singing skills are about to be unlocked. Just as Jiao was staring at the increasing popularity in the system mall, the agent Zhou Lingling called. Where are you, baby? As soon as the phone was answered, Zhou Lingling's warm and gentle voice came out of the receiver, as if she wasn't the one who had blackened her face and wished to kill Jiao with her eyes in the background of good voice before. A sentence, dear, made Jiao's goosebumps rise. She whispered, Ling, I'm at home. Are you exhausted today? Alright, I'll come find you later. What do you want to eat? Sister can buy it for you. Being allowed to order by oneself for the first time. Jiao thought carefully for a moment and asked, is salt crispy chicken okay? Zhou Lingling. No way. Oh. By the way, tomorrow I'll take you and your mentor to dinner, prepare the song you're going to sing for the next time, and ask her to give you guidance. Zhou Lingling should be walking, and there was a lot of wind when she spoke. Jiao obediently answered well. After not waiting at home for long, Zhou Lingling rushed to the rental house. When I saw Jiao, her eyes felt like they could light up, and her mouth was about to open up to the back of her head. When I first saw you, I thought you were great. You're just amazing, baby. But in the future, don't do things like taking photos with fans, especially with male fans. You're a celebrity, you have to put on airs. Jiao sat by the sofa, moved her mouth but didn't say anything, only nodded. Zhou Lingling looked around this 30-square-meter small rental apartment, with a sofa, an old TV, and a single-door refrigerator, which was a bit rudimentary. She thought to herself, the environment is really bad, but let's wait and see. If she can make it to the end, we can consider the company paying for a slightly better apartment to rent for her. Ling Jie, besides having dinner with her mentor tomorrow, is there anything else? Jiao asked, not understanding why Zhou Lingling had been staring at her rental room. There's nothing else to do, just come and see you. From now on, you need to pay attention to protecting your throat. Alright, I'll leave first, you should rest early. After saying a few words of concern, Zhou Lingling reminded Jiao of many precautions before finally leaving. System, open the singing skills interface. As soon as Zhou Lingling left, Jiao eagerly opened the singing skills mall. During her conversation with Zhou Lingling, her popularity had already reached 150,000. Ding! After deducting 150,000 points of popularity, congratulations to the owner for opening the Singing Skills Mall. As soon as the Singing Skills Mall opens, there are several items inside. They are professional level singing skills, master level singing skills, post-singing level singing skills, and superstar level singing skills. You only need to spend popularity points to make a purchase. 150,000 popularity points have opened the Singing Skills Mall, also unlocking professional level singing skills. The following master level singing skills, queen level singing skills, and superstar level singing skills require massive popularity points to unlock. Jiao curiously clicked on the unlocked professional singing skills. At the moment she clicked, she noticed that the sky and earth were spinning, and her consciousness withdrew from her mind into a mysterious space. In the space, there are many statues of famous singers Jiao who have traveled through the former world. There are pop singers, as well as bel canto singers and classical musicians. There are kings and queens from previous countries, as well as Western giants such as Michael Jackson, Adele, and Taylor Swift. System, where is this? Here is the singing space, where the host can learn 1.1 from these singers. At the same time, the system will improve your singing skills to a professional level. After listening to the system's answer, Jiao was stunned. So many famous singers from their past lives have now become teachers that they can learn from at any time. Great! Jiao clenched her small fist excitedly, her eyes filled with excitement as she looked at these singer statues. Start learning. After excitement, Jiao immediately entered a learning state. Quickly, she discovered the system's incredible limitations. On-site observation and learning of superstars singing, Jiao wants to learn their singing skills such as how to pronounce and control their breath. It turned out that these things didn't require her to delve deeper. Because she only needs to watch carefully for a while, the system will automatically input these professional knowledge into her mind. When Jiao spoke again, her voice automatically incorporated the singing skills of a professional singer. This skill is equivalent to copying and pasting. With 150,000 popularity points, one has professional singing skills. Jiao truly felt that her singing skills had significantly improved, and while she was happy, she became even more excited about her master level and post-singing level singing skills in the future. 5 hours later, Jiao came out of the singing space. Sitting on the sofa, covering my chest and calming down my accelerating heartbeat. She wanted to share this excitement with others, flipped through her contact list, and found no one else besides her agent. For the first time, Jiao realized that she didn't even have a friend in this world, and this sense of loneliness instantly climbed to her heart. Even diluting the surprise the system gave her, she curled up in bed and slowly fell asleep. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Foam. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Foam. The next day, Jiao rarely put on makeup for herself. Before going out, she never wasted time on makeup. Now, because she has fans and her singing skills have been elevated to the level of a professional singer, her mood is very happy. That's why she made a breakthrough by putting on makeup for herself, and even specially paired it with clothing for going out. The result amazed Zhou Lingling, who came to pick her up. Today's makeup looks good, and the dress also matches you well. Don't always wear T-shirts and jeans in the future, hide all your body shape. Jiao wore this kind of dress for the first time. The white camisole dress was paired with a light blue cardigan in her fair appearance, making her look pure and clean. Although the collar is not very low, she is always afraid that it will run out. Now being stared up and down by Sister Ling, I feel even more embarrassed. Ling, let's go. Isn't there a dinner party? She said awkwardly as she tugged at the suspender of her skirt. Zhou Lingling nodded and took Jiao out. Arriving at the reserved dining room, Jiao carried her bag and headed straight to the small corner next to the wall. When Zhou Lingling saw her Lin Daiyu appearance, she was someone who wanted to become a celebrity. How could she be so timid? Her anger couldn't be suppressed, and she wanted to scold her a few words. But when she thought about Su Jiao's popularity now, she changed her tone. Jiao, the mentors will come soon. Remember to toast me, and if you want to hear the good news, it won't cost you any money. Say a few more words. Su Jiao looked at Zhou Lingling and wanted to ask how to say compliments, but seeing Zhou Lingling's serious expression, she still didn't dare not ask. She was afraid of being scolded, so she could only reply dryly, "Oh, I understand." After returning, when Zhou Lingling went to order, Su Jiao picked up her phone and secretly opened Baidu. The most practical compliment. Quickly, Zhou Lingling ordered the dishes and brought the sister in. Along with that sister, there was also a mentor who was also a good voice, from the crooked Jiao. Seeing the three of them enter the private room, Su Jiao quickly stood up and greeted them. After a few pleasantries, everyone sat down. As soon as she sat down, the older sister joked, "Oh my, Su Jiao is even more beautiful under the stage than on the stage, isn't she, Zhou?" Zhou Dong chuckled and said, "I don't care if you're pretty, but I know if you sing well." "Su Jiao, why didn't you choose me back then?" Upon hearing these words, Su Jiao felt a bit embarrassed, although she did want to choose Jiao because he was 7 or 8 points similar to the celebrity Jiao whom she had liked in her past life. But the company has emphasized that you must choose that sister. If there were 2 of them, that would be great, so I could learn from the 2 mentors. Su Jiao widened her eyes and spoke sincerely. That sister and Zhou Dong exchanged a glance and smiled at each other. Su Jiao is an interesting person. Agent Zhou Lingling, who rarely interjected, breathed a sigh of relief. After experiencing the tragic laughter scene on stage yesterday, she was afraid that Su Jiao would tell the truth and say that she didn't want to choose Zhou, but the company asked her to choose that sister. After chatting for a while, the dishes were all served. The sister picked up a chopstick of food and said while eating, "Have you figured out what to sing next?" Su Jiao nodded and said, "I've figured it out." Before the sister could speak, Zhou Dong curiously said, "Oh, whose song are you planning to sing this time? Or do you have any original songs?" Su Jiao pursed her lips and whispered, "This time I'll still sing it myself." Before she could finish speaking, she blushed a bit. Because her original songs are all classic songs from Earth. So she felt a bit ashamed inside. Upon hearing this, Zhou Dong immediately became interested. "Dao. Can you sing a cantata for us to listen to?" Good Su Jiao has already prepared for the next song to sing. She chose a song that was very popular on Earth in her past life and repeatedly observed and learned from the original singer Gem in the post-song space. The technique and tone of this song have all been engraved in her mind. After clearing her throat, under the gaze of her sister, Zhou Dong, and her agent, Su Jiao began to sing. Although the beautiful foam is a flash of fireworks. Although all your promises are too fragile. Love is a foam if you can see through it. What's so sad about it? Different melodies and timbres sing an indescribable emotion. Just as they finished singing a section, the sister and Jiao were stunned. Because Su Jiao's high-pitched voice is simply too steady, a little too high, and a little too low can't sing that flavor. The 2 of them were already mentally prepared and knew that Su Jiao's singing skills were quite good. But today I was deeply shocked by Su Jiao. Su Jiao's singing performance today is much better than yesterday's on stage. From their perspective, they have reached the level of many professional singers who have been in the industry for many years. But what shocked them even more was the melody of this song. From the song I sang on stage yesterday, to today's song, the melody is very beautiful, and it is a standard popular music masterpiece. And these 2 songs were both created by Su Jiao herself. There is never a shortage of good singers in the music industry, but a good creator is always in short supply. Su Jiao has both singing ability and such excellent creative ability, and her potential is far beyond that of most singers. After a foam song, the elder sister put her arms around Su Jiao and said excitedly, "I have found a treasure, I have found a treasure." Zhou Dong let out a long sigh and looked envious. "All right, sister, don't provoke me anymore. Su Jiao, your song is very good. Can you tell me under what circumstances you wrote this song? If you have time, we can exchange our songwriting experience." Su Jiao touched her nose and said in an unnatural tone, "Watching TV has some inspiration." Zhou nodded and said, "I also had a song before that was inspired by watching TV. Su Jiao, although you are not my student, I really appreciate your musical talent. We can communicate more in the future." It is obvious that Zhou is a talented person. Although not to the point of mutual admiration, he was willing to give a little advice when he saw that he was also a singer with excellent singing and composition. Upon hearing this, Su Jiao was overjoyed. Even though she was foolish, she understood Jie Chao's kindness and quickly stood up, saying, "Thank you, Jie Chou." Zhou Lingling, who had been sitting next to her without a word, was completely dumbfounded. She used to only know that Su Jiao sang well and could also write some songs, but every time she thought Su Jiao's songs could receive high praise from Zhou, even showing the intention of reminding Su Jiao. If Zhou Lingling was still observing Su Jiao before this meal, she made up her mind after this meal. Even if Su Jiao sings like dog poop, just because she can connect with the line of Jie Chou, Su Jiao's money tree cannot be let go. Where will Su Jiao be in the future? Where will Zhou Lingling be? After seeing that Su Jiao and Zhou Dong had already added each other as friends in the address book, Zhou Lingling's smile became even brighter. "Two teachers, we Jiao will need more care from both of you in the future." Zhou Dong waved his hand and said, "She doesn't need anyone's care, she can illuminate herself." The sister who had greeted the company was a little more tactful. "Isn't that right? Who said she's my student?" The guests at this meal were all happy, and Su Jiao's wine was a toast, but she didn't say any compliments. She didn't know what to say. Because her compliments from Baidu looked very awkward. She was afraid of talking and couldn't help but laugh. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Reaching the stage again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Reaching the stage again. In a blink of time, a week quickly passed. In this week, Su Jiao's followers on a certain blog have risen to 230,000. The popularity value has also exceeded the 300,000 mark. Just increase her popularity by another 700,000 and she can unlock master-level singing skills. This makes Su Jiao look forward to today's game even more. Good Voice Player Lounge. Under the professional makeup artist's attire, Su Jiao has completely changed her appearance. Overall, it still gives the impression of purity, but it is more refined, more like a celebrity than a pure school flower. After putting on her makeup, Su Jiao secretly found Zhou Lingling behind her back and asked quietly, "Ling Jia, is the makeup artist's fee paid by the company?" She doesn't have much money on her body, and if she doesn't ask this question clearly, she will always feel uneasy and it will affect her future performance. Zhou Lingling's face was full of black question marks. This guy was thinking about something in his heart. Do you think the company will make her pay for the makeup artist? Suppressing the urge to roll her eyes, Zhou Lingling tried her best to speak softly. "Yes, you don't have to worry about these things. I specifically applied for a makeup artist from the company for you. You just need to sing well. There are several people behind your opponents today who have money, so you can't underestimate them." Su Jiao didn't listen to what she said later, only heard the previous sentence that she didn't need to take money, and she breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. It's okay. When doing the styling, the girl from the same company as Su Jiao also came. Su Jiao saw her through the mirror and waved her hand, genuinely wanting to make friends with her. Unfortunately, the other party gave Su Jiao a white glance in the mirror and walked straight over to sit next to Su Jiao without paying attention to her. Su Jiao's raised hand could only be awkwardly lowered. The other party doesn't have a makeup artist, they can only do it themselves. The difference between professional and amateur is that Jiao's makeup feels clean and beautiful, while the other person's is not as good. The other party glanced at Jiao coldly and said, "Where did you find a makeup artist?" The stylist was doing her hair, and Jiao couldn't turn her head and could only look in the mirror and say, "The company found it." Her tone is very sincere, without any hint of superiority. Who knew that after listening to her talk, the other person slammed the makeup brush in their hand and felt discriminated against. They turned to call out to Zhou Lingling, "Lingjie, everyone is a company, why does she have a makeup artist and I don't have one?" Zhou Lingling glanced at Jiao and said in a distant tone, "She was found out of my own pocket." "You want the makeup artist to go find your agent?" "No, Ling, didn't you say that because I sing well, this makeup artist was given to me by the company?" Jiao felt that making friends should not lie, but be honest with each other. Puff. Ha ha ha. The other few people in the dressing room couldn't help but laugh when they heard the conversation. Zhou Lingling is so angry that she wants to strangle Jiao. For a moment, she didn't even know if Jiao was intentional. Jiao also realized that she had said the wrong thing, so she tightly closed her mouth and didn't speak. Fortunately, the staff arrived in time and asked them to quickly prepare to take the stage. Jiao was the fifth to appear, and coincidentally, the one from the same company came behind her. The two of them stood backstage, and Jiao turned to look at her. She tried to say something, but when she looked at each other with a kind expression in her eyes, Jiao shut up again. "What song did the company choose for you this time?" Unexpectedly, the other person spoke with a slightly hesitant tone. "Are you telling me? The company didn't help me this time, so let's sing my own song." Jiao thought to herself that she was already angry because the company had found a makeup artist for her. This time, she told him that the company didn't choose a song for her. Will the other party feel a little more peaceful? Who knew the other person snorted again, rolled their eyes and chuckled, "I'll show you what you can handle." It's okay, I'm just a little stronger than you." Jiao gestured with her fingertips and said seriously, "Don't be too upset either. I'm a talented person and you rely on your own hard work. We're different. Don't compare yourself to me." "Jiao, are you sick?" The other person, who was originally quite delicate, gasped heavily after scolding Jiao. Watching the other person's angry expression, Jiao slowly thought that she might have said the wrong thing again. She touched her nose and silently turned around, deciding not to make friends for now. At the same time, the contestants on stage have already finished their performance. Jiao took a deep breath with the microphone and slowly walked onto the stage. Due to her stunning performance in the previous one, many viewers on site were quite excited about her. But there are also some people who are not very optimistic. They looked at Jiao from below, standing straight in the center of the stage with a piano next to her. "Are you preparing to play and sing on your own?" Jiao really thinks so. The piano was something she learned last minute in the system last night. The first time she sang while playing, she was still a little nervous. She took a gentle breath, then picked up the microphone and whispered. "Hello teachers, I am Jiao, contestant number 5. Today, I bring you my original song Foam, and I hope you like it." Jiao on stage gives people a sense of coldness and alienation. She doesn't know how enviable her slender waist and long legs are. Because of her superior appearance, her strength is often overlooked. Sitting below, the audience whispered, with her beauty and physique, what kind of song should she sing? It would be great to act. Oh, their company packages the singer route. Can there be competitions to become famous quickly in acting? That's right, didn't you see her sing original songs every game? I guess she wants to follow the path of strength. The words strength were quoted in double quotes. Suddenly, a clean piano sound rang out from the scene, startling the audience members who were chatting quietly below. When they looked at the stage again, they saw Jiao already sitting in front of the piano, her clean and slender fingers dancing rapidly on the piano. The beautiful sound of the piano reached every corner of the scene, attracting everyone's attention. This was a small technique taught by Zhou, and the effect was indeed significant. The whispers on site have decreased significantly. Just as everyone slowly entered a state and waited for her to sing along with the music, the sound of the piano suddenly came to a sudden halt. Because foam song has no prelude. At this moment, everyone's curious gaze fell on Jiao. At this moment, a ethereal and glazed female voice suddenly sounded from the center of the stage. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Foam, detonate the whole scene. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Foam, detonate the whole scene. The foam in the sun is colored just like me who was deceived. I am happy pursue what is right or wrong, your lies based on the fact that you still love me. Jiao's voice was slightly sad while singing, and her eyes were filled with regret. And these details were all magnified by the guide, allowing everyone on site to see them. At this moment, the accompaniment suddenly inserted slowly as she reached the point of singing. The mood of the on-site audience also fluctuated, and everyone's eyes focused on Jiao. The beautiful foam, although a flash of fireworks all your promises, although they are too fragile but love is like a foam, if you can see through it what's so sad about it. The ethereal and clean singing, like a gentle breeze, caresses everyone's soul. It feels like telling a story, and the lyrics are a bridge that draws people into the mirror. The audience at the scene even consciously took a light breath, afraid of disturbing Jiao on stage. I should have known about foam. They burst at the touch just like a broken heart, unbearable to torment. It's not anyone's fault, no matter how many lies there are based on the fact that you still love me. The beautiful foam, although a flash of fireworks all your promises, although they are too fragile. Iban is a foam, if we can see through it what's so sad about it. The singing voice fluctuates with the sound of the chin, and the emotions of the singer are constantly displayed in the singing voice, gradually progressing, layer by layer and finally reaching a climax. Jiao's unique singing skills, ethereal yet not weak voice, and clean penetration on high notes make people completely unable to resist immersing themselves in her singing. Damn it, it reminds me of my deceased ex-boyfriend. A female audience member at the scene rubbed her back at the corner of her eyes and muttered to herself. When we first got together, Mingming promised that if she would love her for a lifetime, who knows that it was only a short time ago, and that promise was like a foam, which would burst with a poke. I thought I had forgotten the harm, but it didn't seem like it was there. I just hid it in a corner. Now the scars in the corner have been hooked out by this song. In fact, she was not the only one who felt this way on site. A male audience member who has just experienced a breakup fell into memories after listening to the song for a long time without regaining consciousness. The most important ability in songs, or in other words, various entertainment works, is empathy. In fact, Jiao's piano playing skills are at an entry-level, and her singing skills are at their peak. However, she immerses herself in every song she sings. She can sing every meaning behind the lyrics, which is why she can make the audience empathize. After all, everyone has experienced the ups and downs of love. As time passed, this song also reached its climax. Jiao changed her breath and began to pitch high. What's so sad about it? Why are you sad? What's so sad about it? Why are you sad? It's all foam, just a flash of fireworks. All your promises are too fragile and your silhouette, it's my fault I didn't see through it. That's why I'm so sad. A treble without any tremolo penetrated into the ears of every person present, causing everyone to tremble. At that moment, Jiao on the stage seemed to be full of radiance. Instantly illuminated the studio. Everyone held their breath and focused their gaze on her. On stage, the beautiful girls from England are like fairies, standing out and singing to their heart's content. And those hands on the piano, like little elves, just danced on the piano. At this moment, everyone forgot about her beauty, and everyone's hearts lifted high with her high-pitched voice. And Su Jiao did not disappoint everyone's expectations, her voice like layers of waves, pushing higher and higher. How to search again for the assurance of love embracing loneliness, isn't it lonely Ivan is a foam, blame me for not seeing through it that's why I'm so sad. As the high notes of gua gradually decrease after singing, the timbre gradually warms up. The sound of the piano also bravely retreated from the current, and the melody slowly withdrew. Su Jiao's eyes on the big screen were shrouded in a layer of confusion and alienation. The sound returned to its original state. The foam under the rain will burst at the touch the once fervent heart has long sunk. What do you say you love me? If you lie to me I would rather you remain silent. The sound of the piano gradually stopped. Everything returns to silence. On the spot in the studio, even the director and photographer forgot about their work. At the climax, everyone was immersed in her singing. Until the end, Su Jiao stood up, bowed and thanked, and everyone finally came to their senses. The sound of applause and screams came up wave by wave from the audience, and it can be said that the scene had already exploded. Four mentors stood up at the same time and applauded her. Su Jiao's mentor even ran onto the stage and hugged her tightly, saying, "Su Jiao, you're amazing." She said this sentence from the bottom of her heart today. The audience on site even asked her to sing another song. The contestants behind her in the backstage are now unwilling to take the stage, although they don't want to admit it. Su Jiao's strength is indeed too strong. How could there be no pressure in the same stage and game as someone like this? She wished Su Jiao could disappear in place. However, for the audience, this is an auditory and visual feast that may be remembered for a lifetime. Especially when feeling bored, hearing such a resonant song is really like drinking a sip of chilled soda in the scorching summer heat. It's so refreshing. It is unforgettable for a long time. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Moulds teach personally. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Moulds teach personally. Su Jiao's feet were still weak until she stepped down, and when she sat in a chair, her heart seemed to slowly calm down. Zhou Lingling walked into the backstage from outside and couldn't help but give Su Jiao a big hug when she saw her. Jiao, you're so amazing. I really didn't misjudge anyone. Zhou Lingling was not only excited about Su Jiaogang's performance on stage. Before Su Jiaogang finished singing and left the stage, a music platform manager called her, asking if the copyright of this song could be played on their platform. This incident indirectly proves the commercial value of Su Jiao. As long as artists have commercial value, they can make money. When Zhou Lingling thought of the scene in which the bright red big ticket would enter her pocket in the future, her lips couldn't help but curl up, tightening Su Jiao even tighter. At around 11 p.m., the program recording ended. Zhou Lingling and Su Jiao found a restaurant outside and ordered a table of dishes. Today, I treat you to this meal to celebrate your successful performance. Su Jiao's popularity has risen by nearly 30,000 in just a few hours since she came on stage to sing Foam. Do you know who called me today? Penguin Music, NetEase Cloud, and several well-known music platforms have all called to inquire if they can buy the copyright of this song. Zhou Lingling poured some drinks for Su Jiao as she spoke. Upon hearing this, Su Jiao didn't even pick up the food and said, "Selling copyright. They just finished singing and then they bought it. How much does it cost?" She felt a little excited in her tone. When she heard that she could make money, her little heart couldn't control itself and jumped faster than usual. Zhou Lingling felt helpless as she poked her forehead and said, "Look at your remarkable achievements. The video of your singing has already made it to the hot search. These platforms have a very sensitive sense of smell, and they must have their own judgment on whether a song can become popular. Just prepare for the next game honestly now, the rest of the company will help you handle it and won't let you suffer a loss." Since Zhou Lingling said so, Su Jiao no longer asked. After all, it was Zhou Lingling's help that she has been able to go all the way to now. She not only trusts Zhou Lingling, but also relies on her. Because currently she can only trust and rely on her own agent. After finishing their meal, Su Jiao received a system prompt on her way home. The popularity value has reached 300,000, and the popularity value has reached 300,000. Do the owner want to activate advanced singing skills? Su Jiao's fatigue was instantly shattered by the 300,000 instant popularity value, and she couldn't believe it. After being dismissed by Zhou Lingling, she quickly went upstairs to the bathroom and took a shower. After coming out, she gently probed the system and said, "Turn it on." After speaking, her mind went blank instantly, and then her eyes turned black. After a few seconds, there was gradually a bright light in front of her. It wasn't until Su Jiao fully adapted that she realized the difference between advanced singing skills and beginners. Originally, in advanced singing skills, even the appearance configuration was different. A row of display screens were hung on the wall of the room, displaying the names of the country and their corresponding majors, and below were the names of the singers. The names of several popular divas in Europe and America are all on it. Su Jiao thought she was still observing up close, so she casually clicked on the name of the mold. After clicking, the system made a sizzling sound, and then a person suddenly flashed into the room. Startled Su Jiao, she let out a mother's cry and took several steps back, while the other person remained motionless. Su Jiao patted her restless little heart and slowly moved forward. "Ha! A bit familiar, is this mold? I'll go." Su Jiao was a bit incredulous. She reached out and touched the other person's face, which was no different from the touch of a real person. "Master, please give orders." Moldy Mold suddenly spoke out, which frightened Su Jiao and she withdrew her hand. It turned out to be a system, not really moldy. "Starting from now on, everyone in the advanced singing skills is under your control. Do the masters want to activate the teaching mode?" The system rang in their ears again. "Open." Su Jiaogang finished speaking, and the mold on the other side was already like a robot, creaking a few times. Then her body became more and more agile, and after a few seconds, it was no different from a real person. "My goodness, is the configuration so high?" Moldy Mold began to teach Su Jiao her singing skills, including how to pronounce through her nasal cavity if she had the luck to stop singing. After 2 hours of hard work, Mosher taught Su Jiao all his professional knowledge. Intermediate level teaching is about copying and pasting, which is quite rigid and never belongs to oneself. Advanced ones teach you all their professional knowledge, which can be flexibly applied. The most important thing is that mastering a person's skills only takes 2 hours. It's so time-saving. After Su Jiao finished her studies, she also invited well-known domestic artists, and her singing skills are quite Asian. The biggest feature of this singer is her beautiful voice, which makes people unconsciously give goosebumps. After Su Jiao finished learning, she could clearly feel a change in timbre. Whenever a strange song came out, she could open her mouth and find the rhythm. Using her own unique vocal line, she sings better than the original. Su Jiao couldn't believe it. The system is too powerful. She really doesn't want to come out of the system, but unfortunately, it's like a phone. After playing for a while, it runs out of battery. She has to go out and save popularity to recharge the system. When she came out, it was like riding a roller coaster, her body swaying back and forth, her mind spinning and feeling dizzy. When Su Jiao's body finally stabilized, the person who opened her eyes had already returned to bed, and her phone showed that it was over 4 a.m. The feeling of exhaustion instantly lifted her head, and she closed her eyes slightly, not knowing when she would fall asleep. When she woke up again, she heard the phone buzzing and vibrating next to the pillow. Su Jiao groped for her phone and vaguely saw that it was Zhou Lingling calling. "Have you been coquettish yet? Come to the company right away." As soon as the phone was connected, Zhou Lingling's excited voice came from the other side of the phone. "Lingjie, why?" Before Su Jiao could finish speaking, Zhou Lingling hung up the phone. Su Jiao stared at her phone for a moment, her gaze gradually shifting to focus. It turned out to be already 10 o'clock. Jiao pulled back the bed curtain and the sunlight instantly shone in. Jiao's eyes were a bit hard to open, and she held her hand for a while before slowly adapting. She opened the window, and a light wind drifted in along the window. She rubbed her face, and her mind slowly woke up. Zhou Lingling's tone was so serious just now. Don't let anything happen. She quickly changed her clothes, washed up, and went downstairs to take a taxi to the office. When she arrived at the office, she saw Zhou Lingling standing at the front desk pacing back and forth. What happened to Sister Ling? Jiao's heart beat faster as she looked at Zhou Lingling's serious expression. Is there something wrong with her song? After hearing Jiao's voice, Zhou Lingling immediately came over and pulled her towards the office area. Don't worry, it's a good thing. Zhou Lingling's voice trembled uncontrollably. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Black-Hearted Capitalists. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Black-Hearted Capitalists. Zhou Lingling pulled Jiao all the way to the boss's office and turned around to tidy up Jiao's collar. Don't be nervous when you see the boss later, just do whatever you want, she said. Upon hearing this, Jiao nodded in confusion. As long as it wasn't a bad thing, her heart also breathed a sigh of relief. Following Zhou Lingling, as soon as she opened the door, a strong smell of cologne perfume rushed into her nose. Jiao couldn't help sneezing a few times. Zhou Lingling pinched her arm beside her, which was burning with pain, but she also stopped sneezing. She took a quiet look at the boss's office. It was quite bright. There was a row of large French windows behind. Standing there, she could overlook half of Kyoto. There was also a landscape painting on the wall behind. There were 4 traditional Chinese characters written on it, and Jiao took a while to spell them out. It was a matter of virtue and substance. Their boss is a man of good taste. He just sprays too much perfume. Are you two sitting, standing as the doorkeeper? Boss Su Tao suddenly spoke out, pulling back Jiao's thoughts. Jiao saw the boss for the first time, a bit chubby, with eyes on her. When she didn't smile, she looked very serious. Your agent told you that someone wanted to buy the copyright of Foam, said Su Tao, lighting a cigarette and squinting at Jiao. Upon hearing this, Jiao nodded and said, which music platform is it? Zhou Lingling told her last night that there were music platforms looking for her, so she shouldn't be wrong. However, Zhou Lingling shook her head. It is a production crew who wants to buy the copyright of the song Foam. One production crew has been finalized, and the dubbing is over. It can be said that all the follow-up work has been completed, and the result is stuck at the end of the film. I found several songs that were not suitable, and the director and producers were also anxious. I just heard the Foam song of Jiao. I inquired all the way on the spot and wanted to buy the copyright to be the finale. Upon hearing these words, Jiao was even more surprised in her heart. I didn't expect to not only sell the copyright, but also treat it as the ending song. Su Tao saw Jiao standing still, afraid that she wouldn't understand the situation inside and the importance of the ending song. He then continued with Zhou Lingling, saying, "This is a 4-star drama that will be produced in the morning by Sunshine. The actors, producers, and directors are all very impressive. The drama and songs will explode, and you will also follow the trend. This is a very good opportunity for you. Selling is definitely about selling, and now all we need to negotiate is the price issue." Jiao is currently very short of money, and if this song can sell for money, she has nothing to refuse. "Boss, how much money can I get from selling this song?" "Of course, we'll give you a share according to the contract." Su Tao extinguished the cigarette in the ashtray and fanned the smoke. Upon seeing this, Zhou Lingling walked over and silently opened a gap in the window. "The boss is 1 to 9, it's my singing money, but where's the money for writing songs?" Jiao timidly asked. She really didn't understand the words and games in the contract. But she knows that singing and writing songs are different, right? Jiao, you should know that everyone has signed with our company, so any value you have belongs to the company, not to you personally. Although the song is created by you, it also does not belong to you, but to the company. Of course, it must be divided according to the company's regulations. Su Tao vividly portrayed the capitalist's face. After speaking, without even giving Su Jiao reaction time, she asked Zhou Lingling to take her out and said, "You can explain it to her well." Oh, good. Zhou Lingling understood the underlying meaning of this sentence as to persuade Su Jiao well. Su Jiao didn't say anything else before being led out by Zhou Lingling. Although she didn't understand many things, she also knew that the allocation of this contract was incorrect. Su Jiaoxue won't hide her emotions, her depression and unwillingness are all reflected on her face. Zhou Lingling felt uncomfortable when she saw the corners of her mouth drooping. The boss was really bullying her. From the perspective of her agent, she cannot go against the company against Su Jiao. If she helps Su Jiao, she will offend the company, and the gains are not worth the losses. Sigh. The agent's job is really like looking in the mirror, neither side is human. Zhou Lingling pulled Su Jiao into the company's conference room, and as soon as the door closed, it instantly fell silent. She pressed Su Jiao onto a chair and said earnestly, Jiao, you're still young. You can't just focus on your eyes. You should know that the company needs money to promote and market you. Normally, the money earned by newcomers in the first few years of their debut should be returned to the company. Go ask who in the industry can score 19 points with newcomers. You're already very lucky. Sister Ling, my mind is a bit confused now. Let me think it over before giving you an answer. I'll go home first. Su Jiao didn't know if what Zhou Lingling said was true, but she was quite certain that Zhou Lingling wouldn't help her in this matter. Su Jiao didn't give Zhou Lingling a chance to speak, so she stood up and opened the door before leaving. She had never experienced such a thing before and didn't know who to ask. She felt like a blindfolded elephant spinning around now. But the only thing I know is that my song copyright should belong to me, not to the company. Copyright fees should not be distributed to the company. When getting into the taxi, Su Jiao searched Baidu on her phone for a while but couldn't find the relevant answer. She chuckled self-deprecatingly and said, yes, who would ask such a thing online? Su Jiao lowered the car window and turned her head to look outside. As the taxi drove, the scenery along the way also receded, and the wind whistled in her ear. This city has towering buildings and bustling crowds, but Su Jiao still feels cold because there is no home for her in this vast city. She doesn't even deserve to appear here when renting a house. The house she rented is on the North 4th Ring Road. In addition to being relatively remote from the city center, the geographical location is also quite good. Just outside is a commercial street, selling everything. Many young people and internet celebrities often come here. This has become a popular check-in spot for internet celebrities. Since Su Jiao moved in, she has never wandered around. Today, she didn't want to go back to that cold rental house and asked the driver to park the car across the street. She found a mask in her bag and put it on, then got off the car. As soon as he came out, his exposed skin was pricked by the sunlight. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sunlight was still so poisonous. Which internet celebrity commercial street is directly proportional to the sunshine? Even on such a hot day, it did not stop everyone's enthusiasm. This side is also called the food street, which is a bit like Wangfujing. But it's a bit more smoky than Wangfujing. There are many young people and young couples inside, as well as internet celebrities live streaming. Su Jiao bypassed the crowd and walked inside. The smell of grilled sausages on the roadside drifted through her mask to her nose, and she felt her stomach growling. After swallowing her saliva, Su Jiao couldn't bear to buy it. She only had over 100 yuan left all over her body, and when she first paid for the taxi, her heart was dripping with blood. The money in her pocket can only lead her to the cheapest milk tea shop on this street, where there are also many people queuing up. Jiao stood behind a couple, with 7 or 8 people lined up in front. She wanted to see how many more were left behind, but when she turned her head, she met a pair of familiar eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Invite Zhou Dong to drink milk tea. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Invite Zhou Dong to drink milk tea. Su Jiao didn't dare to confirm the person behind her, so she opened her mouth slightly and whispered, Zhou Dong. The other person was wearing a mask and sunglasses, wrapped all over, and could only see his eyes slightly squinting. He also learned from Su Jiao's soft voice and said, Su Jiao, is your eyesight good? You can see it all. After hearing the sound, Su Jiao was even more certain that this was the Bei Jie. She couldn't believe it. She quickly covered her mouth and asked around. When no one saw her, Su Jiao said in a lower voice than before, Jie, do you also love drinking milk tea from this house? Jie playfully blinked his eyes and said in the same voice, yes, all the meat on his body is contributed by this milk tea. Puff. Giggle, Su Jiao quickly covered Yao Yao's head with her mouth and said, no, you're not fat at all. Huh, you can also say compliments. Zhou Dong raised his eyebrows and teased her. Upon hearing this, Su Jiao's ears turned red with a swoosh and she murmured, no, what you're saying is the truth. Zhou Dong. What are you drinking? Su Jiao calculated her own money and bought a cheaper one for her mentor, leaving enough money for tomorrow's meal. A cup of milk tea was all there was to it, and Jiao didn't hesitate. It was strange to see that Su Jiao had ordered the cheapest one for him, but he didn't ask. Instead, he started talking about other topics. Do you know that song you sang in the last competition became popular? Many people should be looking for you to buy the copyright, right? Zhou Dong led Su Jiao out of the crowd and found a way with fewer people. Upon hearing the other party mention the copyright issue, Su Jiao's good mood instantly dissipated and her emotions took a sharp turn. This matter is being handled by the company. Su Jiao has not yet learned how to hide her expression. Her lips are drooping, her voice is low, and the worried expression in her eyes cannot be hidden. Mr. Zhou has been working in this industry for more than 10 years, and he is very clear about the ethics of brokerage firms. He comforted, this is indeed the normal process, you just need to wait for the money to be distributed. Su Jiao held a milk tea cup in her hand, hesitating for a moment. The brick guide asked, Teacher I want to ask you a question. I was the one who wrote the lyrics and composition for this song, but the boss said I can only get 10% according to the contract. Is that right? When Su Jiao looked at her mentor, her eyes were filled with confusion. She didn't know who to seek help from, and at that moment, Zhou Dong was the straw that could pull her ashore. After hearing Su Jiao's words, Zhou Dong took a deep breath. Although he knew that the brokerage firms were all virtuous, it was to his mother dark. Even more ruthless than a vampire. Bullying such an honest child doesn't hurt one's conscience. No matter how much Jie roast in his heart, he couldn't say something to Su Jiao's face. His identity was different. He could only say politely. Each company's proportion is different. Of course, artists can also make requests to the company. If you think it is inappropriate, you can talk to your agent. Su Jiao Yao looked down and said, it's useless. They don't listen to me. In their eyes, I'm like a commodity. Even if it's sold, I don't have the right to know. What about your parents? What do they say? Zhou Dong thought of starting from other directions. Parents. When Su Jiao came into this world, she didn't know where her parents were. It was the same fate for 2 lifetimes, and other children who were bullied had their own parents to support them. But when she was injured, she could only lick her own wound. Thinking of these, Su Jiao's emotions could no longer be controlled. She didn't want to lose face in front of Jiao, so she could only lower her head tightly, tears streaming down her milk tea cup. Jiao saw this and didn't understand anything else. He silently handed out a tissue from his pocket. Su Jiao took the tissue, wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, took a deep breath, adjusted her emotions, and then whispered, "Sorry, tears are beyond my control." Ah! Did something happen just now? Zhou playfully blinked his eyes and said, "How long do you have left on your contract with the company?" At that time, we only signed for 2 years and it ended by the end of the year. The company wanted us to sign a new contract, but I haven't thought about it yet. Su Jiao didn't plan to sign anymore, but she didn't know how the relationship between her mentor and the company was, so she didn't say these words. Upon hearing that there was only 1 year left, Zhou breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Do you want to buy back your copyright?" Buying back her own copyright. Su Jiao didn't understand what it meant, and she asked Zhou with wide eyes. "I will go to your company to buy the copyright, and you will decide what to do with this song in the future." Su Jiao is a good seedling, and she would be lost in such a small workshop. Of course, Zhou Dong is not a philanthropist, he also has his own conditions. Su Jiao stood on this bustling street, holding a cup of milk tea in her hand, but at this moment, Zhou Dong was her life-saving straw, and she agreed to Zhou Dong's request. After returning to the rental house, she originally intended to tell Zhou Lingling about this matter. But what if I tell her? What if Zhou Lingling tells the boss again? Su Jiao suppressed her impulse. It wasn't until 3 days later that Zhou Lingling learned about the follow-up. Because that day when Zhou came directly to the company to meet Su Tao, Zhou came straight to the point and the boss naturally wanted to give him this face. After all, he was a king-level figure in the music industry. Of course, the boss is not good at nitpicking, he has additional conditions. Besides Su Jiao, there is another contestant in the company, and Jiao has to ensure that he takes her to the finals. The exchange of interests in this circle is too normal. Half an hour later, the boss escorted Zhou out. As she passed by the tea room, Su Jiao saw Zhou blink at her. Su Jiao immediately got his idea, this matter is settled. Her gloomy mood suddenly cleared up after a few days. Su Jiao didn't know exactly how Zhou Dong operated it. 2 days later, Zhou Dong called her and told her that he had sold the copyright of this song to the crew for 250,000 yuan. The direct meaning of this matter for Su Jiao is that she received 70,000 yuan, and if she left according to the company contract, she could only receive over 20,000 yuan. But the downside of this matter is that the copyright of this song permanently belongs to the drama owner, and it is limited to the broadcast of the TV series. In the evening, Zhou Dong sent a WeChat message to Su Jiao. "Are you a newcomer? This song is not only priced at this price, do you feel uncomfortable?" Su Jiao shook her head, knowing that it was impossible for newcomers to get a high price. Typing reply. "I'm sorry, but not sad. This industry is like this, I can't do anything about it." Zhou Dong didn't answer, turned off his phone, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He felt that he was not mistaken. Su Jiao is an open-minded person who does not mind petty gains in front of her. Only such people can walk in this circle for a longer time. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Invitation to Desired Life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Invitation to Desired Life. Since the copyright money was received, Su Jiao has counted it 3 times. She is afraid that she is dreaming, and the first thing she does when she wakes up in the morning is to check her bank balance. She didn't feel at ease until she saw that beautiful string of numbers. Su Jiao knows that this amount of money is not a big deal for others, but for her, it can give her a sense of security and prevent her from living in the panic of not having money every day. Don't worry about the company evicting her and leaving her with no place to live. When Zhou Lingling arrived, she saw Su Jiao holding her phone and smiling, frowning and saying, "What are you laughing at? By the way, did you know that Jiao sold your song to the crew?" Su Jiao instinctively wanted to nod, but suddenly remembered that Zhou Lingling didn't know her agreement with Zhou Dong, so she shook her head again. Zhou Lingling glanced at Su Jiao and lowered her gaze. "She came with a task today. The boss learned from a friend yesterday that Su Jiao's song had been sold by Zhou to the drama company for only 250,000 yuan. Is it just to make this 40,000 yuan difference? That's impossible. The boss speculates that the only reason why Zhou did this is to sell well in front of Su Jiao. Waiting for Su Jiao's contract to expire and sign his studio. So let Zhou Lingling use a cliché. Jiao is quite appreciative of you. You should keep in touch with him more when you have nothing to do," Zhou Lingling said casually. Upon hearing this, Su Jiao looked up at Zhou Lingling and saw her holding a cup and drinking water, her eyes full of thought. Zhou Dong is a mentor, it's not good to disturb others all the time. Su Jiao didn't know why, and a thought flashed through her mind, but she couldn't catch it. By some strange coincidence, she didn't tell Zhou Lingling the truth. "Oh, that's right. He's a mentor, so it's right not to disturb him." Zhou Lingling thought she knew Su Jiao quite well. She really wouldn't lie, and then Zhou Lingling brought up the matter of renewing her contract. "Ling, I've been preparing songs for the next competition lately, and I haven't considered renewing my contract with the company yet." Su Jiao stared at her innocent big eyes and spoke seriously. No one would think she was cute and easy to handle. Zhou Lingling was the same. She sat in front of Su Jiao and said earnestly, "What are you thinking? The company is so good to you. Do you think which company has such a high proportion of new employees?" She sighed and continued, "Don't think that if you have popularity now, you will become popular. You still have a long way to go to shine. Artists rely on packaging marketing. Without these packaging halos, even if you have strength, you will be buried. If I were you, I would sign the contract now. Taking advantage of the still hot competition in company marketing, I can guarantee that you can at least stand firm in the entertainment industry. If you insist on twisting it, then I won't be able to protect you. You should know that the company isn't just about you competing alone." Zhou Lingling's words can be said to be both soft and hard. Su Jiao also knew that what she said was true, but she would rather be buried than put the initiative in someone else's hands. Especially this company is too unscrupulous. So her answer is still considering. Zhou Lingling was so angry that she had a heart attack and kept trying not to swear. When the boss called to inquire about the progress of the matter at night, Zhou Lingling was worried that she would be blamed for not doing well, so she changed the topic and said, "She has been preparing songs for the next competition these days, so don't let her be distracted yet." The boss thought about it but didn't mention it again. He turned his head and asked, "The drama she sold copyright on, let's premiere tonight and watch it better." This matter is not only remembered by Zhou Lingling, but also silently counted down in Su Jiao's heart. At night, she stood in front of the TV, actually not watching much content, just waiting for the end and listening to her ending song. However, there was no result, and the popularity of the TV drama that night went viral. Su Jiao flipped Weibo from top to bottom, only a few people mentioned the song. Who knew that the next day when I woke up, my phone started buzzing non-stop. Zhou Lingling. Quickly go to Weibo. Then came the Weibo link she sent. When Su Jiao clicks in, the background music of TV clips edited by netizens is Su Jiao's phone. Su Jiao directly closed the video and scrolled down to read the comments. The comments have exceeded 10,000. The sunshine in the morning is really amazing. The drama is good, the actors are good, and even the songs are good. This song fits the plot perfectly. Damn it, I brought myself in while listening to the music. Who sang this song? The voice is amazing. Good voice contestant Su Jiao, beautiful and sweet, this girl is simply YYDS. Su Jiao switched to her Weibo account, and her fans have been growing. There are still many people sending her private messages. Jiao opened a private message, which is full of praise. Jiao felt the support for the first time, and her excitement was indescribable. She checked her phone every now and then. Watching the praises and compliments from netizens, Jiao felt a hint of joy in her heart. She really wanted to share her feelings at this moment. Flipping through my phone, I found that there were only 2 people I could contact. My agent and Jiao. This reality, like warm water, was handed over to Jiao, which also brought her rationality back a bit. At noon, she went downstairs to buy food. When she was waiting for food in the downstairs restaurant, the music in it was Foam, which sounded with the song. Foam in the Sun. The 2 girls eating in the restaurant started humming along. One of them said, "Recently, several of my colleagues have replaced the ringtone with this song. Even my mother can sing and is clamoring to vote for Jiao, Jiao stood at their table, wearing a mask to listen to their discussion about herself, blushing a bit. She had an impulse for a moment to tell them that she was Jiao, but fortunately she managed to control it in the end. She carried the food and returned upstairs in a daze. Opening my phone, I wanted to check the popularity again, but a news article on Weibo with Jiao's topic became the top trending topic and exploded. Jiao was a bit confused. Trembling, she clicked on it and saw that it was a member of the entertainment industry who shared Jiao's song. The caption reads, "Her voice is full of vicissitudes and a sense of story. Who would have thought that I would cry when I listened to this song?" This news, along with Jiao, once again made it to the hot search. Jiao's fans have skyrocketed by over 100,000. This made her feel unreal, feeling that her emotions had reached their peak at this moment. She even wanted to open the window and shout a few times downstairs. Even the vibration of her phone interrupted her madness. The incoming call is an unfamiliar number. "Hello, may I ask if it's Jiao?" Just as the phone was answered, a strange and pure Mandarin came from the microphone. "I am, may I ask which one you are?" Jiao sat up and asked in confusion. "Hello, I am from the Longing for Life program group. I would like to invite you to join us as a flying guest. Is your itinerary convenient?" Jiao knows the life she yearns for. This is a very popular variety show where every episode's guests are big shots, but how could she be invited? Scammer. Jiao was not speaking and hung up the phone, but the other person still had a lot of perseverance and called several times. Jiao directly added him to the blacklist, and his phone was instantly cleared. If you are really a staff member of a variety show, you should contact your agent instead of yourself. Jiao didn't know that the staff on the other end of the phone wanted to cry without tears. He really longed for life staff. They had already scheduled guests for a long time, but unexpectedly, when they were about to record, the other party suddenly had to change guests and couldn't come. The production team searched several times, either because the schedule couldn't be adjusted, or because the artist had a history and everyone was at a loss. He heard Jiao's song on the staff's phone and only found out after inquiring about it that she was a good voice contestant. Recently, there has been a lot of discussion. He took a look at his phone and immediately confirmed Jiao. Asked the production team to hire this person no matter what. The staff couldn't reach Zhou Lingling's phone, so they had no choice but to call Jiao. "There's no way, we can only continue to bombard Zhou Lingling wildly." Coincidentally, Zhou Lingling happened to drive to Jiao's doorstep. When she was just driving, her phone switched to driving mode and she didn't see it. At this moment, when she received the phone call, she was also frightened and repeatedly confirmed with the other party that it was not a prank. Only then did she believe it. After hanging up the phone, he excitedly slammed the door. Jiao opened the door and saw Zhou Lingling with a blush and a thick neck. She was a bit scared and trembled, saying, "Sister Ling, what are you doing? Do you know who called me just now?" Zhou Lingling's excited tone trembled. The life I long for. I invite you to record a program. Ah. So that's really the phone number for the production team. Jiao realized later and quickly took out her phone to pull the person out of the blacklist. It's done. You don't have any objections to me, do you? Sister Ling, the production team won't be angry with me, will they? Jiao looked worried and told Zhou Lingling about the recent incident. No, anyone who receives such a phone call will have doubts, and it's even more strange not to contact the artist directly without finding an agent. You should behave well when you attend the program this time, Zhou Lingling comforted her. End of this chapter.